Salute to the chat, salute. The streets are buzzing. The New York Knicks picked up their first win of Summer League 2023, 82-80. They did it the hard way off a Jalen Martin buzzer beater in overtime. It was a trial, first to 82. Teams were locked at 77. Right, for a minute it looked like the Knicks were going to blow this one. Let's chop it up. Salute to the best chat in the biz. Salute Knicks Nation. How are we feeling after this? Plenty to chop up in the news going around. We heard a trade report from Yahoo Sports, Jake Fisher, on Evan Fournier. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about tonight's game, in which Charlie Brown continues his fine form in this Summer League, showed out. Jalen Martin got the win at the buzzer, and we'll talk about it. Salute to the whole chat. It was a very sloppy game, probably the most ugly, frustrating game of all Summer League yet so far, but fittingly the Knicks win this one, 82-80, very low scoring. We didn't see Daquan Jeffries, so I don't know if we're going to see him again. Isaiah Roby didn't really have a very strong performance, but probably Trevor Keels' best performance was in the positive in the box score. But yeah, the two guys that continue to be most consistent, I would say, over the course of Summer League has been Charlie Brown Jr., CBJ, and J Mart. Knicks Nation making up nicknames for these kids now. But and Marcus Garrett, you see on screen, had a nice finish in traffic. There was plenty of highlights and all of that. You guys let me know if you can hear me now. Apologies for the intro, I was muted, but I think that should be fixed now. Let's get into the news firstly before we chop up this game. I wanted to just bring this up for those that are the diehards hanging on every trade report going on in off-season, right? It's been a bit of a down period since we got the Dante DiVincenzo signing in the bag. But Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports dropped some latest today, just hours before the game, talking specifically about rival front offices are continuing to tell Jake Fisher, Yahoo Sports, that the Knicks remain engaged on trade avenues for the shooter Evan Fournier, and then the Knicks are amenable to doing so as part of a multi-team framework as well. So remaining engaged, and we'll talk about what Summer League means also with executives there in the building. We saw Leon Rose, Gerson Rosas has been present, omnipresent as well, been on social media receiving an award as well. Well by Wes, Walt Perrin. Summer League is a great time for execs to meet, and talk deal framework, potential future moves, but basically just like it's a conference. So think about it, you're always dealing with those other executives over the phone, but rarely throughout a hectic NBA year do all the executives get to be in sort of one place. So not only do they talk about sort of imminent deals, current deals, but they can sort of gauge framework and talks about a future deal as well. So yeah, Summer League's very fruitful for those things. But more specifically, Evan Fournier, I was kind of surprised to hear this report because I always felt that we would be saving Fournier for a larger deal. But I really feel like, from this report, it does sound like the Knicks are very open and engaging to see if they can make, a solid upgrade off an Evan Fournier trade. Maybe, gather future first-round selections, whether it be using, Fournier's contract as a salary dump to maybe take on some picks, probably to improve the team as well with a piece coming back. We didn't hear any names specifically, but the positive thing for me, fam, is that the Knicks are looking into multi-team frameworks, which, as it opens the possibilities for a deal getting done. The more teams you speak to, the more possibilities as well. So what up, Knicks Nation? How do you feel about that? Evan Fournier, we know, is the most likely dude, to be in a package, whether it's the bigger one or one of these more minor moves. But yeah, I think it's positive, it's healthy. The Knicks are still talking. As I mentioned, man, summer league is a great time for those conversations to take place. Fournier's owed 18 point something mil, so it's a solid amount of salary where the Knicks can take on, possibly a couple of pieces as well. Maybe, pieces that they may be open to taking the salary back for. It may not necessarily just be a salary dump. With that said, but yeah, uh, overall, yeah, thoughts just touching on the summer league win tonight. Good for the kids overall. Let's not lose sight of what summer league's all about. These kids just coming in here, whether they look trash, whether they got a future in the league, it's good for them to get out there and develop. And you need a win to feel good. The Knicks picked up their first win, but the even more pleasing thing was that a lot of the starters were really solid tonight. Isaiah Roby, like I said, didn't have one of his best games, but he was very aggressive in the first quarter, first half, as was Jalen Martin. Jalen Martin was very efficient tonight as well, which was good. But overall, yeah, Charlie Brown continues to show out, and I will look at the box score and team stats coming up on screen. Yeah, as I said, Charlie Brown showed out 19 points, really smooth with finishing. Good to see. Had 4 blocks as well. The Knicks had a bit of an injection of a new player, which is QJ Peterson. He looked like a nice spark plug, like an Emmanuel Quickly light, but super short. QJ Peterson came in and gave the Knicks a lot of offense. He picked up 5 assists as well. And he also picked up 9 rebounds, which is funny because he's the shortest player on the court, basically. But the Knicks forced a lot of turnovers. I think they won it kind of. I mean, Anthony Black was very sloppy, but the Knicks forced a lot of turnovers, 21-15, 11 steals as well. So, we've not looked good offensively. We've talked about Trevor Keels not being a point guard. We've talked about the Knicks not having a proper creator, a ball handler, but the Knicks have been fairly solid defensively over the sum of 3 games. Yeah, tonight forcing 11 steals and 21 turnovers with 8 blocks was pleasing. Continue to shoot poorly from the free throw line for 42%. That's crazy. That's bad. Inefficient from the field and also from deep. 38% from the field, 25 from deep as well. So yeah, the Knicks lack the shooting as well. But I guess another strength for the Knicks over the summer league tonight was ball movement. 23 assists as well. That's generally more than what the big club gets. A lot of ball movement, a lot of dudes cutting and moving around. The play to force overtime was the play with Foster cutting to the bucket, and I'll bring up the Jalen Martin winner for those that haven't seen that yet. Their chest bump and Keels there. Clock running out. See Jalen Martin being aggressive, throws it up, gets the win. Yeah, young kid, got to feel good about that. Yeah, as we know, Jalen Martin's been one of the main reasons I've been tuning in to, and also covering this summer league a bit easier because we need to see something, some reward for tuning in. How did you guys see Jalen Martin's game? What are your thoughts on that? Yeah, one of the worst summer league teams. Yeah, facts. Dirty so far. Yeah, Hulu says as long as they aren't amenable to attaching any picks to move Fournier. That's a great point. Appreciate you for that. Yeah, definitely don't want to attach any picks. I wouldn't force the Fournier trade unless it's benefiting us, basically, because we don't need to move him yet. We can stay patient. Yeah, what up, Keith? What up, Mike? Salute, Mega. Appreciate you, David. Yeah, Trevor Keels had his best game tonight, but he was, not scoring by any means. Yeah, definitely had to feel good for him. He's actually looking better. Yeah, agree with that. He was aggressive tonight and fairly efficient as well. We'll get into his stats, but yeah, in terms of in terms of points, like yeah, it's been slim pickings without Daquan Jeffries. It's tough because he looked amazing in the first game, did Daquan Jeffries, and looks like he's kind of in the club leader of the clubhouse to pick up a regular roster spot. To me, close behind, I would say would be Isaiah Roby. Um, had a bad first game, a solid second game, and a pretty average third game. But reports are Isaiah Roby had surgery just in February, I think February or March. So Roby is still coming back, getting into fitness and all of that. So I think Roby is still going to be good for a two-way spot or a roster spot, is what I'm feeling. But then close behind them is definitely Jalen Martin and Charlie Brown Jr. I would give the other two two-way spots to. And then so far, Trevor Keels is missing out on that. What's up, Geraldine? I like the kid, Jalen Martin. If we were patient with him, I think he can be special. Yeah, I think there's a long way to go, but there's enough there that has you, feeling good about what he might be for the future. Just because he's 19, and he's got that aggressiveness, which is really what you want to see from a player like that. Um, Remember, this is a club where we're sharing the ball a lot. We're not forcing it down one guy's throat. I notice, we kind of have a right to kind of force it to Roby because he's had 4 seasons in the NBA, but we haven't forced it. Charlie Brown's got his shots. Peterson came in, put up a lot of shots as well, and as we know, Jalen Martin been picking up a lot of shots too. We'll just go through the wire to wire. The Knicks started out slow, 19-23, picked it up in the second. Um, a wretched third quarter of doom with 12 points, but then it was an amazing fourth quarter run, 22-11 in the fourth to force OT, and then of course was the first to 82 to put up 7 points in OT. What are you guys' thoughts on the new format of OT? Playing to a target score instead of a 5-minute interval. I kind of like that. It was exciting when it was 80-80 and it was next bucket wins. It was like street ball back in the park, back in the schoolyard. Next bucket wins kind of thing felt good. Um, I thought our bigs were fairly solid. Foster and Skeppensack. They do fumble the ball a little bit, but you get them close enough to the bucket. They're pretty good at finishing. Fast break points was much better than the second game, up from 2 fast break points all the way up to 17. Charlie Brown helped us out there. Marcus Garrett's finish. The biggest lead, Orlando blew that lead tonight. The Knicks buckled down again, played solid D. But yeah, sloppy from both teams, 15 turnovers to the 21 as well. So let's get into the box score. We bring this box score up. And Charlie Brown, 19 points, was a 1 in the plus minus, together with Michael Foster and Trevor Keels, were the only 3 starters in the plus. Brown with the 19 points, salute to him for 4 blocks, 1 steal, 2 assists, picked up 6 boards, shot 3 of 7 from deep, not known as a 3-point shooter, but Charlie Brown had his stroke tonight, 42% from deep and a 53% from the field, 8 of 15. This is the Charlie Brown game, 100%. And he was consistent tonight, picked up 2 assists, but the 4 blocks, I think his length, his versatility looks the best out of any player, but he's experienced, he's 26 years old, with the Delaware team in the G League, won the championship as well. Do you guys think he's worth a two-way spot based on his play or his age, or do you think he's just too old and give it to a younger dude? I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on that. Uh, I think you could make a valid argument for both because, yeah, he is definitely probably the smoothest, most ready-made player in this summer league, next to Jeffries, but he's also 26 years old. So that's interesting. Like I said, Isaiah Roby with these 6 points, -8, struggled tonight, but did shoot 3 of 8 from the field and missed all 4 of his threes. Foster, a lot of up and down play from him, just 7 points, but was a +9, pretty solid defensively. Helped us force overtime as well. So Michael Foster, salute. Jalen Martin, again, second best player tonight, 12 points, but was a -8. 4 of 7 was efficient and 1 of 2 from deep. 75% from the line. Can't complain about that. 2 rebounds, but 4 fouls. The thing that I like most about Charlie Brown is that he's aggressive. Jalen Martin, is that he's aggressive. He's a guy who didn't look like a kid who's just come from overtime elite. Didn't look like a kid who didn't play college. Didn't look like a kid who's 19 throughout the summer league. He's definitely looked better than a lot of these older guys, and that means he's got talent. To be able to stick out and stand out, and do those things when the moment's big, was good. We definitely got someone, and keep him for the two-way, 100%. Great way to develop a guy. For those just coming in, appreciate you. We talked about the report, the Evan Fournier report coming from Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports, and that is rival front offices continue to say that the Knicks remain engaged on trade avenues for Fournier, and the Knicks are amenable to a 3-team or multi-team framework as well. So I take this as I'm leaning heavily towards Fournier is not going to make it to training camp. We know he's been a respectful guy. He's been a pro, but he's been clear about his preference is to be dealt before the season begins, and I think the Knicks have understood that, and I think the Knicks are trying to honor that. Fournier is coming up in FIBA. We'll chop that up later in this show with the FIBA tournament coming up. He's playing for France, but I think he doesn't really want to sit on the bench for the entirety of his third year with the Knicks. Coming up, he feels like he could help with the shooting, and bring that to a contender. I think and I think there will be some contending teams that would be open to taking on a Fournier. I mean, it's a risk-free gamble for many teams that are willing to just throw away a little bit of salary maybe to some other teams, and maybe a couple of both teams give the Knicks hopefully a boatload of picks. Even if it is, and this could be one example, Fournier going to one said contender, that contender throwing some expiring salary or some desirable salary to another team, and then both teams send the Knicks 3 second-round picks or something in total. And that way we'd just be clearing up money and we'd be getting picks out of it. Or 1 or 2 young players, perhaps that are earning less. Don't forget the Knicks have their trade exception as well, which is going to help. That means salaries don't need to match in this particular instance. So yeah, it comes down to like for like a salary swap. I don't think the market's going to be big for Fournier, but I can see someone taking a flyer on that, on his expiring salary and the shooting that he brings. I think the Knicks, the value of some Knicks players definitely looks lower on our team with Tom Thibodeau. We saw the Miami Heat make use of Duncan Robinson. At one point in the season, he was rendered unplayable, but he was able to be dusted off and be played. So I think good coaching can make use out of a certain player like Fournier. Now, maybe not 25 minutes, but 15 minutes, 12 minutes, maybe something like that as well. So yeah, that was that situation. Now, as we go through the box score and talk about uh, the rest of the Knicks after Jalen Martin's good performance now, so been fairly consistent over 3 games, which is excellent. Charlie Brown's been consistent over 3 games too, but Trevor Keels, it was good to see him, dust off his 2 bad performances with a decent performance, but very inefficient. But he shot 13 times. Not a shooter, 1 of 6 from deep. Struggled shooting like he does. I get so many people asking me, what does Trevor Keels even do well? Um, at this point, I said nothing at the moment, but that's okay for a 19-year-old. Not a lot of 19-year-olds in his position in the back end of a second round do something well. But do I think Trevor Keels deserves a 2-way spot? I don't think so at this point. I think the Knicks can find better use for those slots. But, nonetheless, it was good to see Keels, put in a performance with plus 10, 9 points, 5 rebounds as well in his game time. I like what Marcus Garrett's shown in flashes. He's had some solid finishes. He looks like a solid defensive player to keep maybe in Westchester and just, let him continue to develop his career or go overseas. As I said, the 2 bigs, Skepinsev, he only got 13 minutes tonight, but he was 4 points, -7, one of his worst games, um, along with Michael Foster as well. Had some moments, though, finishing around the bucket. Michael Foster has been more consistent recently than Skepinsev. But QJ Peterson, like I said, came in, shot 6 of 19, 2 of 9 from deep, 22% was awful. But he put up 16 points, got to the line quite a bit, and was a plus 19 in his minutes. So that's crazy. If you look at that entire run in that third, I think it was the third or the fourth, the fourth, sorry. Yeah, QJ Peterson helped that run come along. So that's big in terms of his stocks around the league and his ability to get something out of this summer league. Just looking at the shot chart as well, it never looks pleasant when it's crazy inefficient. A lot of mid-range shots though tonight, so I think the Knicks probably looked at some things and thought we could get some better shots in the mid-range area, but not as many looks at the bucket as well. So you see all those misses at the free throw line extended. But for young ballers, I would always advise them to, to start closer in and then work your way out. A lot of players start shooting the 3 ball immediately. I think the free throw line shot is excellent to work on your mechanics, as is the 10-footers, the 15-footers as well, just to get that stroke, get it flowing, get it comfortable, and then start to work your way back out as you start to feel good about it. But this day and age, is we see a lot of contested threes, a lot of bad shot selections as well that drives these announcers crazy. What's good, Kaiser? Salute. Hopefully an Evan show out in FIBA, and we can get something for him. That's music to my ears, man. I think the thing is the league knows who Fournier is now, but it's always good just to see a player, showcase what they can still do. The key word is still do. A lot of execs around the league know what Tom Thibodeau is. They could sort of ask in negotiations, why didn't you play Fournier? Well, Tom Thibodeau, our coach, is a defensive coach, and Evan Fournier is not a defensive player, but he could still stroke it. He could still give you something. He ain't that old either, so we'll look at that in the FIBA situation and the rankings to see. Yeah, why would we give up picks yet to get a guy who probably won't play? Says Dirty as well. Yeah, I don't think the Knicks will be sending any picks out in that situation. I think it's going to be a case of us doing a little bit of everything, trying to help Fournier, trying to get equal or comparable to what Fournier is going to give us, which is maybe just another situational guy. And then hopefully we could pocket a second round draft pick or better. Anything better than that is gravy. But I still think the Knicks are leaning towards, trending towards doing this trade for Fournier because, yeah, I think, as the season goes along and he's still continuing to sit, I don't think his value is just going to get worse in terms of the player. The salary we know it's already positive for the Knicks. It's coming off the books this season as well, and we could obviously use that trade in a bigger deal. But I also start to think now that we don't necessarily need Fournier's salary for that bigger deal because we have Emmanuel Quickly, who we may extend and use that salary in a bigger trade as well. We do have other salaries that we can use outside of Fournier's, but I could be wrong. But based on today's report, I really do feel like the Knicks will make that trade for Fournier before the season begins. That's just what my hunch is. Uh, Bodega, yeah, makes the point that the trade value for Fournier in Feb will go up after the trade deadline. Yeah, we traded the Morris twin for the pick that gave us IQ. Also, yep, that's a good point in terms of a team maybe getting an injury, teams needing some shooting help, and knowing that Fournier is coming off the books. Um, and again, we're not getting a first round pick for Fournier. It would be something like a second round pick, maybe from one team, and then a second round pick from another team. Maybe if it's multi-team deal, um, etc. But yeah, my biggest takeaway is that the Knicks are still engaging, and other rival teams are having conversations with the Knicks about that. And it's all about to improve the future, or it's about to improve this current team this year, and just to see what we can get. We've still got some solid free agents out there. For everyone that's wondering what's the hold up, it's definitely because of Dame Dollar, James Harden. Those are the two big dominoes that where the whole league is waiting to fall. Reports recently from the relating to the Portland Trailblazers is that Joe Cronin, I think their front office exec, said that he's willing to run it, months possibly just to bleed the best possible value they can get. And I think that's fair. As long as Dame gets his destination, the Blazers get what they want, it'll be a win-win. But that deal doesn't look like it's going to go down anytime soon. Maybe late July, maybe even further into that. So it's frustrating for everyone, I know. We just want to sort of get each team's roster sorted and free agency to continue to go. We're waiting on the free agents like Kelly Oubre and Christian Wood, the two top free agents, also still yet to find a home. I think there's going to be a flux of activity once the Dame and the James Harden thing goes down. We also heard a report today that there's optimism that James Harden could stay in Philly now. Joel Embiid's been talking to him, been addressing the future together, and those two maybe wanting to make another run at a title in Philly. I could see that happening, but I still feel like Harden will be traded. I think that's just again maybe posturing. A lot of these leaks to the media right now, this times, are very calculated, and and we got to read into that accordingly. But I do think James Harden, he's the maestro at forcing his way, out of a situation and getting to his destination. I think, which will be the LA Clippers, with that thing. Yeah. the Dame situation has the trade market in a holding pattern, 100%. Yep. Glenn says we need to act, not wait on Dame. He's not coming here, so let's move on. Yep, we're definitely not in this. I don't think we're in the sweepstakes for a Dame as well. There was talks we were in the Harden sweepstakes, but again, dealing with Daryl Morey and to help Philly get what they want. I don't see it happening within the division as well. I just don't see that happening. Yeah, in terms of our own issues at the moment, it's wrap up summer league and see if we can get this Evan Fournier trade. Now, what do we need? We need a longer wing, possibly a backup power forward. So far, Isaiah Roby has shown me that he's worth keeping, towards the end of the bench because he's still recovering from injury. But he's not a guy we could really rely upon, and I don't think Tom Thibodeau would play him many minutes anyway. It'd be more purely just a guy who's there as an emergency, there in case of injury. But I do feel like it's a situation where it's these guys, these guys we've already got in, which is Josh Hart at the 4, can rebound with the best of them. Of course, Dante DiVincenzo brings that shooting. He's going to bring ball handling and a lot of energy off the bench. He's a hard-nosed dude. He rebounds well, plays within the flow of the game also. And I think Emmanuel Quickley looks like he's going to be a New York Knick for the foreseeable at this minute. With Quick, it's going to be a case of he's going to continue to showcase himself. Let's see if he gets that extension in October. I think I'm leaning towards the Knicks giving him that extension now. And then that's also money, provided it's a solid number. It's going to be used in a future trade or can be used in a future trade as well. So I think Quickly is very important to the makeup of this team. If we're running it back without Quickly off the bench, there's no point for me personally, there's no point running it back because we're automatically a weaker team. So it's you keep Quickly to make a run this year, you extend him, or if we're bringing in a bigger superstar or a star, and then Emmanuel Quickly is going to have to go in that deal because he's getting paid and he wants to be that starter as well. Yeah, we've talked about this name too. Appreciate you, David. Is Taj Gibson a real vet in the locker room? We don't have Derrick Rose now. Just the kind of guy who can keep some cool heads. Let's say he'd be good for Julius. He'd be great for Mitch. He's actually Mitch's guy. Is Taj Gibson as well? We know he's not going to play a ton of minutes either, and he's happy being on the bench and being that veteran mentor, locker room dude, all of that. Yeah, I'll be happy with that. I'll be okay with the Taj Gibson. Coming back to this club, the pride of Fort Greene, and he knows the situation with the Knicks. He knows Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau would be open for it as well. We talked about him, and we also mentioned the other Villanova gang, Archie Diacono Ryan from previously. He was on this club as an end of the bench kind of dude as well, to further solidify this Villanova connection that we got. We know the Knicks have picked up the options with Deuce McBride, or will pick up the options if they haven't, and Jericho Sims. We will talk about the FIBA situation coming up shortly. With that situation, one name to look out for is Jericho Sims, among others, because Jericho Sims has actually got connection with the Dominican Republic. So we wait for all the squads to be released. Some have been released, yet some have not. But yeah, we wait to see as there's more squads announced. But so far we have Brunson and Hart playing for Team USA. RJ Barrett going to be playing for Team Canada. Evan Fournier, hopefully he'll be balling out for France. And then we have Rokas Jokubaitis from Lithuania, also going to play too. And then, like I said, we might have Jericho Sims play for the Dominican Republic. Isaiah Hartenstein was not part of the Germany extended squad announcement, so I know he's got German roots, but I don't think Hart is going to suit up for Germany. But they do have a really solid squad as well, which we'll go through in a minute. We had the announcement of the NBA tourney as well. A lot of opinions, a lot of thoughts about that. People coming to grips with what it all means right now. I think the first year is kind of going to be a wash. I think because it's going to take time for people to really get behind it. Basically, there's a lot of skepticism, which I completely understand. I think we're going to need a team to win the first one. I think for the rest of the league to really start to start to think about it. Uh, Obviously, yeah, we have the Team USA roster on screen too. The more I look at it, I think it's a pretty cool team of young dudes. Um, it's not an Olympic year; it's the World Cup, so I think all the stars are going to come back for the Olympics next year. But I think for Team USA's chances for this upcoming, I think this is as good as they can do at this stage. Um, we'll have to see Brunson get all the reps he can on ball. He's going to be playing next to Tyrese, I think. We got Ant Edwards, the Ant Man, Austin Reeves, um, the young combo guard from the Lakers. Then we have the up and coming reigning rookie of the year, Paolo, with Mikal Bridges. A lot of interchangeable, switchable wings with Brandon Ingram. Also, Josh Hart there mixed in. And then we have some, very mobile, I would say mobile big men. FIBA's a lot about getting up and down. It's very quick. I think it's like summer league, 10-minute quarters. Um, Different rules. You can swat the ball off of the rim. You need a lot of athleticism, agility. I think Jaren Jackson Jr., Walker Kessler, and former Nick Bobby Portis is going to be solid. And we got the traditional big man Walker Kessler as well. But yeah, great recruiting opportunity. Yep, spot on. They said Team USA is the #1 time to recruit. Also, yeah, I'm looking at that. Mikal, a lot of bonding. Brandon Ingram as well. We know Triple J's dad works for the Westchester Knicks as well. There's some connections there. How are we feeling about their chances, Team USA chances with this situation? Uh, the the group USA is with Jordan, Greece, and New Zealand. So I mean they're a lock to get through the group stage no matter what. Uh, could probably share the minutes around. The latest is that Giannis Antetokounmpo had a minor surgery very recently and is in doubt. Is in a significant doubt to play for Greece. So I think the Milwaukee Bucks are pushing for Giannis to not play. He would love to represent his country, but yeah, the talk is that latest is that Giannis is looking like he may end up missing, bearing a a fast, rapid recovery. I think that makes a lot of sense. Really, wait for the Olympics. If you're Giannis, I don't think you want to risk anything in that note. Um, We've obviously got the second in the power rankings. It's the USA #1. We got Spain #2. They'll be coming back with the Hernan Gomez dudes. Of course, they got Ricky Rubio and a plethora of local Spanish players. Um, and then thirdly, there is the France. They're not playing Victor Wembanyama. They've just got their normal French team from the previous comp. I think with Rudy Gobert, um, Evan Fournier, Nick Batum, Frank Ntilikina's in that squad as well. The fourth ranked team is Australia. They'll be playing with their Paddy Mills, Joe Ingles, um, Josh Green, Matisse Thybulle, Josh Giddey. Um, Germany's got the two Franz Wagner, Mo Wagner brothers. Japan's got the Hachimura from the Lakers. Latvia's got KP. Of course, Team Canada going to be stacked. They've not had a lot of success, so Team Canada is not even in the top 6 power rankings. Should this be a tournament that Team Canada finally starts to show some potential? I mean, you have to with their squad. SGA, Jamal Murray, Wiggins, Lou Dort, RJ Barrett, of course. Lithuania's got a solid squad. They've got Valanciunas. They've obviously got Rokas, like I said, Ignas Brazdeikis, former Knick, as well. So yeah, there's a lot of solid teams, a lot of solid NBA talent. It should be fun. Back to the Knicks situation, the summer league Knicks. I think it's going to be a big off season, a big training camp for these guys with RJ Barrett, with Brunson, and with Josh Hart coming into FIBA. Generally, whenever Melo played FIBA, he came back a better player, I think, as well. So you bond, you got new teammates. It's a great opportunity for these guys to just sort of take their games to the next level. But RJ Barrett, if we're running it back, he's a dude who definitely needs to take advantage of this opportunity to play more ball. The season went late into May, around lottery night, draft lottery day. So RJ Barrett's going to have that chance to play more ball with Canada, with Wiggins, and also go up against the Team USA and the rest of the world. So that's great. Killer. Yeah, it's a dicey situation with some of these players because they love the pride of representing their country, but also, they also should be resting as well. Some of these players, with KP's knees. What else we have coming through? Yeah, I really think appreciate you, Glenn, for that. Appreciate you and all your support, everyone rocking out. It's great conversation with the Knicks and everyone coming together with this thing. The streets are buzzing. You know what it is. Chopping it up, whether it's a summer league game, a trade report, a big playoff game. We'll be here. We here. Um, so yeah, we also, like I said, we've got these executives in the building, which is big. So we got Rosas, we got Leon that showed out today, and like I said earlier, with summer league is when these executives all around the league have that chance, like a conference, to meet up in the halls, to have a conversation, meet at a hotel, discuss deal framework, etc. So we had Jake Fisher's report today. Look out for more reports coming from the Knicks guys. I think Ian Begley, Fred Katz, Popper, and the New York Post guys as well. Braziller, Peter Body, and also our guy who comes on, Mike Vaccaro as well. His great columns. I think with a lot of conversations being had, there's going to be more leaks coming out about the Knicks' intentions. The Knicks do really well for the most part compared to the years past in sort of keeping their cards close to the vest, and I think Leon Rose operates that way. But we're always going to get more talk and more reports coming out now with summer league and these guys meeting up regularly. I think that the best thing they've done is, there's been very few reports about us going in for stars or putting up guys. The Donovan Mitchell one was sort of obvious last year, but this year, there's been all quiet on the Karl Anthony Towns front. It's been very quiet on the Zach LaVine front recently. especially, um, all quiet on the Joel Embiid front, James Harden, etc. Not even any real reports recently about Pascal relating to the Knicks. There's been a little bit about OG and Anunoby, and reports that Masai Ujiri is asking for way too much for OG and Anunoby. So I think that's going to be a situation where we've got to continue to monitor what Toronto do up in the house. Yeah, I think RJ Barrett, like Key says, RJ Barrett, quickly Fournier are the guys, and I think as a backup to go to that all-in trade, fam, is Quentin Grimes. I wouldn't be surprised if they do include Quentin Grimes in a particular trade, but it's for that star, the guy that's going to get us to that next level. Yeah, yeah, I'm with you 100%, fam. RJ Barrett, in terms of improving his play with his country in FIBA and just getting a lot of minutes too. I rattled off all those countries and teams and with great players. He's going to be going up against, um, like I said, the Wagner brothers from Germany. Other wings from every other country as well. He's going to be competing against Andrew Wiggins. You know, going up against those teams for minutes. Which group is Canada in? So yeah, fittingly, Canada is in Evan Fournier's group. He's in Kristaps Porzingis's group as well. Is RJ, and together with Lebanon as well. So yeah, Canada's going to be competing to try to get through that group with Latvia and France. The top two teams in each group will go through. So I think Canada really should be favourites to try to get through. I think they're stronger than Latvia. France, they might have a lot of troubles. France is always pretty consistent. Yep, appreciate you cover. Greeny, salute. Dirty says if Messiah has turned down the deal for Scoot, for OG, he needs to be fired. 100%. He might get fired anyway. Yeah. The clock's ticking on what he's doing right now. What direction? It's all good to either go all in and lose or go all in and try to compete. But this whole staying in the middle now is too risky, I think, in this NBA, because there's amazing picks coming up. You could find talent changers, game changers. I think Portland got Shaedon Sharpe, who I was really high on. You were able to get him at like pick. I think he went at pick 6 or 7. I had him in my top 4 in that draft. Shaedon Sharpe looks incredible in terms of going to that next level. We see Keontae George with Utah. I think it looks like Charlotte hit with Brandon Miller as well. Brandon Miller's looked like a standout so far in summer league. And of course, a lot of picks overhyped. I think it's going to be a huge year for Zion and the Pelicans, to see what happens with them, because there really needs to be some conversations being had about that, and and those guys finding what they can get for a Zion. So I wanted to also just preview this tournament group, the in-season tournament with the Knicks. All the games are part of the regular season, which was my number one reason why I liked the format, because at least if you're not behind it or you don't give a stuff, at least it's part of the regular season and you don't got to play any more games, until you get to the knockout stages. And those knockout stages will be all throughout December, November, and then into December is those knockout stages. The Summer League team is going through its lumps, picked up their first dub, by 2 points, 82-80. We talked about it the other night. I think the Knicks didn't bring in a proper point guard for this team, which hasn't helped Trevor Keels and it hasn't helped Isaiah Roby, really. I think if Daquan Jeffries was on the squad playing and he wasn't injured, I think the Knicks would have been looking a lot better because he can create a little. But yeah, purely there's been no one to create. You see so many people with the low scoring performances, low plus minuses, and a lot of turnovers. 15 turnovers tonight. And last game we only had 2 fast break points as well. Not a lot to dwell upon outside of what's been the most positive thing, and that's Jalen Martin, our guy. Coming in, signed off a two-way, signed off an undrafted spot. Now he is definitely showing out to be someone worthy of keeping for the development spot. There he does. He hits the bucket, the game-winning bucket, goes right down the teeth of the D, um, he knows what's up. Yeah. Wants the ball, so he claps, runs around, and goes left. That's what I also like. He didn't fake going around the screen and then go back to his right. Yeah. He comes around the corner with his left, 2 hard dribbles into the paint and goes up and finishes. Salute, young man. Salute, salute. What else do we have here? This was the game-tying bucket. So yep, QJ Peterson puts it up. Yep, another finish from Charlie Brown Jr., one of his 19 points. Good length, good size in transition. Been excellent for this summer league, finishing on the break as well. Yep. Make sure to try to draw contact and then finishes strong, I think. So Charlie Brown Jr. and Jalen Martin been strong. Dirty says Kid is athletic with a big wingspan and good aggressiveness, but needs to work on his handle, yeah, and his shots, I think too. Now, in terms of the stats, the box score, what did he finish with? In terms of efficiency, Jalen Martin finished 4 of 7, 57%, and 1 of 2 from deep. So yeah, that was good. He didn't shoot a lot of attempts, but he also, I've noticed, he's gotten to the line quite a few times in all of the games as well. Shot 4 free throws, as you see the team high free throw attempts tonight. So that's actually a reward for his aggressiveness, which is what you want to see. Was able to sink 3 of 4 or 2 with 12 points. Gets aggressive defensively, picked up 4 fouls, but he's also a combo guard, I feel, because he can assist some. He had a nice dump down the other night, and then tonight he gets 3 assists as well, which was really good to see. Appreciate everyone's thoughts on the games that we're seeing. He played 126 minutes. Yeah, NBA.com's wilding out with that. Hulu says Osar Thompson's look great too. Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of games, but you guys tell me who else has stood out. I mentioned, I think Jet Howard looked pretty strong for Orlando tonight. Yeah, Dimitro Skepensek, David says, are we signing him? I think we could bring him into training camp, Exhibit 10. That'd be interesting. He's been playing pro overseas, so he's got that experience. Again, I don't fully evaluate the bigs in this kind of environment as well, because they're not playing with proper point guards that's setting them up. I tell you, it's glorified pickup ball at best with this situation, as we see the huge hammer from Marcus Garrett. I like what he's brought in some of these games too. But yeah, like I said, anytime Foster and Scap and Sec were down low, fed them the ball. They were usually decent at finishing. Put them in a situation where they've got to create or try to make a play, then it's very difficult for those guys without the point guard play. It's very just up and down, helter skelter. But yeah, he hasn't jumped off the page, but I could see us bringing him into a training camp environment. Yeah. Davis says Brown, same year as NBA as Keels, but Brown's better. Yep. Well, Brown's a lot older. I think Brown's 26, but he's had a lot of G League experience too. Jabari Smith, yep, Keontae George, Trey Mann, and Chet are the standouts for Dirty. I've watched a little bit of Pelicans too. I think Dyson Daniels had a great performance the other night, a solid performance last night, and then 2 assists shy of a triple-double the night before as well. He looks like a senior player that doesn't need to play Summer League anymore too. I wasn't that impressed with Anthony Black tonight. It was a lot of sloppy play, turned the ball over and all of that. But yeah, one of the key advantages with Roby and with Jalen Martin is the huge wingspan. Both got 7 feet wingspan, as well as I think Charlie Brown looks like he's long too. But Isaiah Roby, 6'8", with a 7'2" wingspan, can shoot the three, can stretch it some. Look for him to still be in the mix. The Knicks play 1 or 2 more games. They're always going to bring him into training camp anyway to see what Roby can do. I think there's a chance he still sticks at the back end of the roster, but there's a chance we make that trade and possibly bring in some extra veterans as well. As much as I'd be okay with Roby just being that insurance, if it was between him and let's say a Taj Gibson, I would kind of be torn because I think Taj would be better for the direction we're going in, which is trying to win this season. But I think Roby would be better to keep for the future as well. So maybe we could keep both, keep Roby on a 2-way, and develop some, and still bring in a Taj Gibson as well. If we could bring in a ready-made wing like a Kelly Oubre, who could give you real NBA minutes, and try to get that trade happening for Fournier to clear up some money, that would be something I would be heavily into. Christian Wood, I like his talent. I would welcome his shooting, but I think from an individual standpoint, I don't know he fits what the Knicks are looking for in a player. There's been some comments and questions about his ability to fit into the locker room. That'd be maybe a concern the front office might have. But Christian Wood, the shooter, the floor spacer at the 4, that'd be excellent for what we need. A small ball 5. But I do think the Lakers are honing in on that. Yeah. Yeah, mega salute. Talking about the CAA mafia vibes going on. It could be to a detriment for us at some point. Curious to see how it plays out. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to continue to be a storyline. I hope it's definitely not a detriment. In terms of bigger talent around the league, I don't think it's going to be a detriment. I still feel that they're open to signing other players from other agencies, but they're always still going to try to look after their own. Some of these role player guys like Hart, Hartenstein as well, and make sure they look after them. The big sort of question mark to look at is OG Anunoby now heading into unrestricted free agency. With OG able to choose his own home after one more year is going to be fascinating. And that's another reason why the clock is ticking on Masai Ujiri and the Toronto Raptors. in our division as well. Now, I don't even think the Raptors are going to be better than the Knicks this season anyway, so I'm not worried about them from a standings perspective. I don't think they're going to make any kind of leap, especially losing Fred. But I do think the Knicks are still kind of got to be feeling good about their chances to finish third, second, third, fourth, fifth, anywhere from that. Depends on what shakes right around the league, what with other teams. Obviously, if the Miami Heat land Dame, I could see the Heat, bumping up to the fourth best team, the third best team. But I still think the Knicks are going to be about there, man. I think the moves we made, to bring in DiVincenzo is just going to be it's going to be proven to be a huge pickup for us. In terms of just floor balance, roster balance right now, I like where it's at. We're not going to win a championship yet. I think we're still waiting for that next big piece. But one more advantage to just running into the season to see how it all shakes right is you have another year to or half a year to see what some of these guys with question marks come back with. I'm talking about Quentin Grimes, talking about RJ Barrett. I'm still talking about Julius Randle. It doesn't hurt to just say, okay, I want to see more. We know we got Jalen Brunson. We know we got Mitchell Robinson on a cheap contract for 3 more years. I want to see what we got in Quentin Grimes, RJ Barrett, and Julius, because I think any of those 3 positions, and even Mitch, at the end of the day, could be future moves in flux. With that said, in terms of trying to make an upgrade, like for example, if a Brandon Ingram was to become available and the Pelicans wanted Julius Randle back in a deal, I think there would be teams, there'd be fans open for that. OG Anunoby can play the 3 and the 4. Pascal can play the 3 and the 4. There's a lot of versatility. Zion is another name that people would trade Randle for. And then also the 3 and the 4 with Paul George as well. So do I put it at likely? It's very unlikely Randle's traded in the next 12 months. But at some point in the future, if things don't go, the way they want it, I could see them making that move. I could see them making that move at some point. But as of now, I think it's the 2 and the 3 spots that are the 2 most likely to be there to be upgraded, I think. And there's no shame at keeping Grimes and keeping him off the bench. He's still young. He's capable. He's a very capable NBA starting 2. But for a deep playoff team, he's not quite there yet. He's not someone who has proven it in the playoffs yet. He's not someone who coming into the playoffs is going to produce for you 100%. He had a solid playoffs in some games, but he's still got to show us a bit more. So I think the front office is still looking at that. I think they're still looking at Barrett. Of course, talks were ongoing with the last year with the Utah Jazz with Bully Barrett as well. So yeah, we know what the squad needs. It's got basically a little bit more shooting with Dante DiVincenzo, but 2 undersized wings. We need some extra length. RJ Barrett's value on this team I don't think has ever been higher because he's 6'7". He's strong. He can play that 3 for us. Whereas and could hit the open shot. Where Josh Hart, Quentin Grimes is undersized to play the 3. So RJ Barrett's very valuable for us at this stage, purely for the fact that he's young still, but he's the tallest wing. We have. If Isaiah Roby was more developed and more efficient at 6'8", he would be a guy I would like to look at the 3. But right now he's ways off of that at this stage. Uh, yeah, Dirty says we are scheduled to have 4 picks in the top 40 next year. Hopefully they make at least 2 of them. Yeah, that's going to be big. We know how much the Knicks need to value that. Yeah, and to need to prioritize that. On that note, let me get our draft compensation coming up on screen as well, because I wanna dive into that, as we talked about it recently, but I just want to make sure that we go through and just highlight how good the Knicks draft position is, and just all of these things we can do coming up, especially in trade discussions, negotiations, etc. Uh, we know the Dallas Mavericks have definitely improved, and I feel like that's a situation where it's going to help us get our 11th pick, or 11th and above selection. So yeah, this is courtesy of No Trade Clause, the website No Trade Clause. Salute to them. I'm bringing this up on screen now. You could see the draft for this year coming up. So the Knicks have their first round draft pick at the very top. Then in brown, you see the second selection is the Dallas first. If it falls anywhere from 11 to 30, the Knicks get it. So that's the key. It's 1 to 10 protected still. If it falls anywhere from 11 to 30, the Knicks will get it. So Dallas have to be the 10th worst team in the league again for that pick to go forward one more year. So we're going to get that pick eventually. It doesn't end next year or this year. It ends the following year as well. So top 10 protected in 2025 also. So that's beautiful. So we have our own draft picks every single year you could see coming up. That's what's going to allow us to put together that Godfather package, because there's not a single year where we skip a pick. We own all of ours from all the way up to 2030. And then we got the Dallas one. I feel like we'll get it this year too. So as Dirty mentioned, it's there. We have potentially 4 picks in the top 40 next year coming up. The Detroit one is a first, which is top 18 protected this upcoming draft. So basically, the Detroit Pistons have to not be in the worst 18 teams for us to get that pick. So that's not going to come to us this year. And it's top 13 protected the following year, top 11 protected the following year after that. And then in 2027, it's top 9 protected. So, I mean, in 2026 or 7, maybe Detroit's better. Maybe they're good enough for us to get that draft pick. But I would say it has some value, not a lot. Washington's is a lot better. It's top 12 protected this year. So I think Washington will probably be in the top worst 12 teams in this year. So I think then it's top 10 protected the following, and then top 8 protected. So I think we're probably going to get it 2025, 2026. We'll get that one. But then this year we have Utah, Cleveland second, a Detroit second, and the Miami second as well, which is a bad second round pick, 56 to 60. So we're probably not even going to get that. I don't think this has been updated yet either with the Indiana's second round picks that we got for Obi as well. But yeah, as Dirty's already on the money with that one. Yeah, we got the 2 Indies, 2 seconds coming up as well, coming up in the future. So yeah, it's funny, like what player would this require us to give the whole Godfather package for? Maybe a Luka, a Devin Booker, Joel Embiid. There's not many players Maybe Brandon Ingram gets close. Zion definitely not. But the package I'm talking about is, when is that player going to become available? Where the Knicks just say, all right, you own all of our picks for the next like 6, 7 years, 5, 6, 7 years, with 3 or 4 unprotected picks and 3 swaps. And here have 3 other protected picks and have 4 second round picks and a couple of young players. That's at the end of the day, that's what the Knicks are going to have to throw in, I think, to get a Embiid, Luka, a Devin Booker as well. It's funny, I think Embiid's the closest dude to being attainable. I think he's the guy who you really got to carefully look at in the next 12 months. Luka, I would say it's still possible, but probably 2 to 3 years. I think I could see him, wanting to give Dallas a bigger chance. And then Devin Booker, we know, is going to go on a big run with Phoenix now, I think, for the next couple of years at least. Yeah, I think that's going to be a situation where that comes up. But yeah, I think Embiid's the dude they really want. Yeah. Dirty says we have 2 years to do it before JB signs the new deal. Yep, 100%. I've been preaching that as well, preaching to the choir about how important that is. Yep, like Hulu says as well, young prime superstar only. Yep. If you could take a risk on someone like I wanted the Knicks to take a risk with Paul George, a Zion, you could talk me into taking a risk with him if the price is right, just because we have so many draft picks still that we could keep for the next blockbuster trade as well. But it's critical that players like RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle all continue to play well, because at some point, if the Knicks get close to a championship and bringing in further stars, it's going to be some of these players that are going to be outgoing, and other teams are going to have to want those guys too. So that's going to be huge. Yeah, 28 and younger, ideally, like the Melo trade. Yeah, that could give us a 5 to 6 year swing at it. That's big. I mentioned the pre-30 Jalen Brunson and the post-30, because Jalen Brunson's 27, right? He's just turned 27. So you have 4 more seasons with Brunson before he's 31. And then up until he's 31. And then you have the rest of his Knick career, hopefully. So there's people are looking at it like, I don't want the Knicks to make a bad move, and I don't want us to trade a big haul for everyone. But if you look at Brunson's timeline, let's say you did bring in a guy like Zion, for example, and we're just hypothetically spitballing right now. Let's say it is Carl Towns that Leon does make a change and takes a risk on, or a Paul George, someone like that. Let's say you go on a run for 2 or 3 years, it doesn't work out. Ideally, that player would still have some trade value. They would have to fall off a cliff to not have any trade value. And then in the 3rd year, you simply flip them again. You trade it. You trade it as an expiring salary. Jalen Brunson's 31, and you can reset. But if you wait too long, you only get a certain window where Jalen Brunson's maybe, 29, 30, and you've wasted the last 2, 3 seasons as well. So basically, I think the Knicks front office knows this, and I think they're getting we're starting to hear they're getting more and more aggressive as the days go on. They're talking to teams about the right guys, whether it's OG. They're making inquiries about Paul George like they were. They backed away because of the extension. Paul George, they had a chance to get him, reports Alan Hahn. It was too expensive. They don't want to do it. They already backed out of it. After talking to the Clippers, they heard what it would cost, and then Paul George said, "I want that extension," and then the Knicks backed off. And then Katz reported recently the Knicks have been building packages around promising young players to try to get that prime-aged veteran, like Hulu mentioned in the chat, someone who's prime-aged that they believe would help us. They're trying to be diligent with the type of star that they get. I mean, it's difficult when I hear that in terms of being diligent in the type of star. I think when it comes to do with stars, it's like you can't be so but picky. I think not that many stars become available, whether you're talking about a Zach LaVine, whether you're talking about a Jalen Brown, Paul George type as well, you know, Donovan Mitchell. At the end of the day, you just have to ask one question: does it upgrade the team? If the answer is yes, then you got to consider it. If they don't upgrade the team, then just don't do it. Don't do it. But yeah, all good things are happening, even though it's silence. Best believe, because it's summer league, and teams around the league are discussing, meeting, talking about the framework of deals, and also finding about what would the asking price be for a hypothetical deal in the future. All of that good stuff. Brandon Ingram, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and I would say probably Jalen Brown, Miles Bridges, probably the four pie in the sky best home runs I think the Knicks could get to fit this bunch. Most def. I would probably put SGA number 1, Brandon Ingram number 2, Jalen Brown number 3, and then probably maybe Mikal Bridges ahead of Jalen Brown. But get any one of those 4, and we're certainly cooking, together with Jalen Brunson, and if Julius is still here. I do have my concerns over Embiid, best believe that. Yeah. Hopefully, if he does sustain an injury, it's while he's with Philly before we make that move. But yeah, I don't feel like he's going to be a player that's going to have a long, play late into his 30s kind of thing, like we're seeing with a Kyle Lowry, with a Paul George kind of thing. Dirty says, I know it's not popular, but if Jalen Brown doesn't sign an extension, I wouldn't be shocked if the Knicks try to create cap room for him. Yeah, I won't be shocked as well. I think, yeah, that's a big name to look out for. I do think the Boston fit with him and Tatum, it's just a ticking time bomb in terms of them realizing that they're not a great fit. I think that they really should have gone in for Bradley Beal, if I'm being honest. Another guard, a ball handler that can play with Tatum, a guy who could create a shot. I think Jalen Brown, we've seen his handles in the playoffs, and it was not pretty. Struggled creating a shot, turned the ball over a heck. Brandon Ingram's a very good, difficult shot maker, so I like his play in the playoffs. His potential fit for the playoffs as well. Guy that can just get his bucket, get his shot off at any moment. I think him playing with JB would be an assassin. But also because you got to look at teams that are willing to, or potentially looking to switch things up. We talked about it with Philly, with Embiid, and we're talking about it with the Pelicans. I keep mentioning OKC too, because it's going to get to a point where they can't play everyone. Trey Mann, Giddey, SGA, Chet Holmgren. They've got 15 picks in the next 5 years or something, for 6 years. 15 first round picks. that's literally a bomb waiting to explode, where the next prime age star forces their way out, and OKC can just basically go get them. If I'm the GM of that player's team, I'm calling OKC immediately and saying, all right, how many draft picks could I get from you now? So I think maybe not as imminent, but I think OKC is a team to look for in the next 12 months. For surely, if they finish in the 6th or 7th seed again or higher, that Sam Presti's got to start to consider. Do we start to try to win? They got the two J Dubs, of course. They've got Lou Dort. They've got so much talent and not enough minutes to go as well. Yeah, Jalen Brown, we continue to see what's up with him. But yeah, Leon Rose does really need to make that move, Keith, in the next 12 months, I feel, because everything's changed. I know a lot of fans still have the PTSD from the past and the failed bigger trades we've made. But I just feel like it's such a different scenario now with a prime age star on the verge of becoming a superstar at just 27 years old. The time is now before we extend him. We know probably Brunson wants to be here and he's going to stay long term, but we can't take that for granted as well. He chose to come here on the basis that he's going to try to help us win if we help ourselves to try to win as well. So I think, yeah, Leon Rose, continue to be aggressive, get to work, clear cap space, do what's necessary. We're working with all these draft picks you see on screen. We're working with stashes overseas, young players on desirable contracts. I think we're in a good position, but I tell you what, it might come down to the player needing to get more aggressive in forcing their way to the Knicks too, because I'm worried about teams like OKC, Detroit, Orlando can put together great packages as well. Talk about if Orlando wanted someone to pair up with Paolo, they could put up Fultz, Suggs, Cole Anthony, Franz Wagner, all draft picks. They could put a lot of pieces together. OKC, Detroit as well. The Houston Rockets are starting to make a move also with all of their young pieces as well. So the East is wide open. That's another reason too, fam. Let's consider how stacked the East is at this stage, and and the fact that the Heat are going to get better, but the chance that Philly might fall, the chance that Toronto might do a mini rebuild, retool, Chicago and Atlanta are stalling as well. Indiana's on the come up. Yep, full court press. We need Hart and Jalen Brunson to pull a full court press on Brandon Ingram. Yep, in this FIBA. Yep, facts. Yep, you said it. You said it. That'd be great. I could see, those guys, you're having those conversations together, fam. Brandon Ingram, Mikal Bridges. I think Josh Hart used to play with Brandon Ingram with the Pelicans as well. And Brandon Ingram used to play with Julius Randle, I think, with the Pelicans too. I think their timelines, their timelines might have been different. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think, maybe they all got traded. I think they were the baby Lakers, right? That all were traded. Part of the AD trade. I think they traded Randall, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart for the AD trade. But yeah, it would be amazing if they could reunite. That's a big thing that you mentioned too about talking around the league and recruiting. Recruiting's big. Championships are won also because of recruiting. Maybe Jalen Brunson one day, we don't know, might recruit Luca. Those dudes are still buddy online, talking the other day on Twitter. At this point, I don't even know if I'd want Donovan Mitchell as a final piece. Yeah, I'm sort of on the fence too with the Spider situation. I'd love to see him here. I just have big doubts over is it going to get us to over the hump? You know, is that going to get us to ECF NBA Finals? Is that enough? I like to hope that Donovan Mitchell still has a lot more to show than what he did in Cleveland's first year in the playoffs. But I think a lot of the the advantages they had, the Knicks took away as well. And I think Darius Garland and him are not the best fit as well. Uh, the only team you're worried about coming up is Orlando, but they're a little bit far away, you feel. I think for where our roster is at, I think, yeah, 1 or 2 years, I'm not worried, but they're coming. I think Detroit's still further away. Um, we know Washington's just getting started to tear it down. But Indiana could be a team with Halliburton, with Mathurin, these guys, Obi, Jurass Walker, these guys. Orlando is potentially the leader in a Pascal Siakam deal. Wouldn't that be funny if Obi Toppin ends up um, not ideal for him, but wouldn't it be crazy if Pascal Siakam was to find his way on the Pacers, man, and Obi was behind him in that situation again? Pascal, of course, has to play the four. Um, I think, yeah, Indiana, don't forget they got Rick Carlisle as their coach, and he doesn't really want to stick around coaching kids for the next 3 years. You know, he wants he wants the ball to start rolling over in Indiana, especially with an All NBA, All Star talent like a Tyrese Halliburton as well. You pair him up with Miles Turner and Pascal Siakam and all of their other young talent. I think they could be easily a 6th seed, 5th seed. Could Indiana if they got Pascal? So it looks like they're trying to do some things. Um, I think the Rockets will be bad for a little bit still, but their veterans is going to help us a lot. Um, I think, yeah, like David says, Leon's going to continue to get his critique until, I mean, everyone lauds the Jalen Brunson move, but Leon, we're still waiting for that next, basically the star that's going to get us to that championship compete level. Um, remember, you know, ever since we had Patrick Ewing, we felt like we were always in it every single year. We had nice role players around Pat. And then we got Spreewell, we got Larry Johnson, we got Houston, we got enough young dudes to get us to that next level with Camby. And then we had Melo surrounded with other veterans. But we got Jalen Brunson now. We need to get him a running mate ASAP. Uh, I don't care what the person's name is. I don't care if it ends up being RJ Barrett, Julius Randle. I don't think it's going to be. They're likely the third options. But we need someone. We need a running mate for Jalen Brunson just to get us to that next level. That's why I think a Donovan Mitchell, a Spider Mitchell, is still a guy you can go off and go nuclear for 40 a night in the playoffs as well. He's built for it. Jaylen Brown, solid two-way wing, big salary. I think with him, with Randall as the third option, could be enough. And Barrett, if Barrett's still here, could be enough to get us to the finals, ECF. But I think I need someone who's a wing who could create a shot. Ingram, SGA, just another two-way player like that. I really wanted the Paul George thing to happen. I was disappointed. I think he was a really good fit, provided we didn't have to give up Julius. together with Brunson and him, I think that would have been dangerous in the East. I think we would have been able to hang with Boston, with Philly, with any team in the East, even with the Heat, with Dame. But let's see. Maybe the price comes back down with that. The Knicks are going to be. They've got to have a plan. You know, are they talking about clearing cap space for Fournier to maybe shuffle the decks and have that next guy ready, have him ready to come in and contribute and make that big swing? Let's see. I think we know Donovan Mitchell, the next 12 months with Spider is going to be critical in Cleveland. Otherwise, he might, or Cleveland front office might just get that feeling, that sinking feeling, like, hey, wait a minute, we might be starting to lose Spider for nothing, man. We better, we better recoup our assets for him and see what happens. But yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Hopefully we get some more news coming up soon. Obviously, we're waiting on the Dame. We're waiting on the Harden deals, fam, to be done. They're the ones holding things up in free agency so far. Summer League continues to roll. We've got FIBA coming up end of August with our Knicks competing with JB, Hart, and RJ Barrett, Rokas, maybe Jericho Sims. But it's been a great show, yeah, chopping this thing up. We'll be back on Friday night for the next game. I think it's a primetime game too. They moved it to NBA TV as well for everyone that's not sure. I think our Friday night game is on NBA TV against Boston, I think. We'll be there to chop up, see what Jalen Martin can do. And appreciate everyone out there rocking out, smashing the like button. The streets are buzzing. And let's see what Leon Rose does coming up into this big free agency period. We've still got Christian Wood. We got our other big free agent Kelly Oubre to fall, and of course the big trades of Dame, Harden, all of that. Right, the Lakers are still trying to sign players, man. Talk about aggression, being aggressive. They got basically try to sign everyone. They're still trying to get Christian Wood. PJ Washington, I don't know what's going to happen with him yet either, but a lot of things happening with Charlotte with new ownership. They got Brandon Miller, looks like a stud now. They got Miles Bridges on a qualifying offer as well. So yeah, we'll chop it up on the next episode as always, man. Appreciate you rocking out tonight. Peace. Have a great evening, great rest of the week, and I'll catch you again on either tomorrow or on Friday if no breaking news comes. Peace. Salute.